I'm Josh Cooperman, and this is Convo by Design. This episode today features Susanne Csongor of SLC Interiors. Susanne has spent decades honing her craft and taking the lessons learned and reinvesting that knowledge back into her design company. Usually, only discussions about reinvesting talk about the capital reinvestment into a company. But this is a little bit different. Susanne has adopted a unique approach that takes from personal experiences and lessons learned along the way to personalize her approach, both personally and professionally. So you might ask, what's so unique about that? I'll tell you. First, that's a great question, one that I pondered myself. And the answer is simple, really, but not easy. Many can say it, few can do it. Susanne has taken lessons from personal experience to self-reflect, understand what is important to her, and apply that philosophy to the work product and design ethos. From this conversation, I took away a number of things, not an understanding that Susanne doesn't just read the trades, go to the shows, and look online to capture trends and adapt them to her firm's stylistic approach. Many successful designers, really successful designers, do just that. And that work for them is how they do their business of design. But Susanne is more of an artisan in her approach, one whose focus is on the shared experiences of well-designed spaces. We discuss a number of other issues as well affecting design firms today, like AI, social media, media attribution, and regional differentiation. By the way, that last one is going to be a very big issue in the coming years as designers who extend from their traditional areas of work now go into other regions to do their projects and realize that it's almost like you're not in America anymore. I was talking to a friend from Europe who was trying to explain to me that, all of a country is very similar in styles and tastes, but you come to America and you have 50 different countries. And then within those countries, you have all the different regions. And within those different regions, you have all these different nooks and crannies. And it's amazing. And we talk about that a little bit too. In addition to the fact that we talk about dogs, I think we spend a lot of time talking about dogs and rescue dogs in particular, but dogs in general. And listen, I could talk about dogs for days. And so could Susanne, obviously. So I think that's something that we have in common too. And I think that, whether you're a dog lover or a cat lover, if you're an animal lover, I think it makes you more empathetic, I think, and it makes you more capable of understanding what clients want. Because if you can read the mind of a dog or a cat or a horse or a bunny or a chicken, chances are you can read the minds of your clients. And we're going to get to all of that right after this. I am just incredibly proud of this partnership I've got with Thermosol. They have been presenting partners of Convo by Design going on 5 years now. And there is a certain amount of pride that comes with saying that the show is presented by the company that is the best in the world at what they do. Thermosol engineers the most exceptional smart shower products and steam shower systems worldwide, full stop. And it's for a few reasons. First of all, they were the first company to design and patent the technology here in the United States, dating back to 1958. Thermosol, a U.S.-based manufacturer based in Round Rock, Texas, employs an engineering team that designs, tests, and continuously refines the product. Their quality control team tests every single steam generator before it departs the factory. Who else does that? Nobody that I know of. I have the pleasure of working with some world-class designers and architects who tell me, and if you're in the business, you know this, that the idea of luxury has changed. especially when clients want a spa-like bathroom. Steam is mandatory, or it's just not considered a luxury. And if you want to add steam, you have only one true option, my opinion, and that's Thermosol. Mitch Altman, third generation CEO of this family owned company of 65 years, continues to innovate in the bathroom and shower space through technological marvels such as intelligent showering systems, sound therapy, aromatherapy, technical interfaces, and so much more. And now Thermosol, the industry leader in steam bath equipment and technology since 1958, as I mentioned, is enhancing its already stellar family of products with the new indoor and outdoor luxury saunas, available in 3 designs. The configurations are absolutely amazing, and you should probably go check them out. Indoor and outdoor options. It's amazing. You really do need to check them out. Go to thermosol.com or at Thermosol on the socials.
When we spoke last,
Yeah.
did I mention that somebody had dumped 2 puppies and 2
Yes.
mothers on? Thank you. Okay. So
Yeah.
we still, and here goes my husband, who I said, don't come into the room. Anyway, um, we still have them. We've posted.
Oh, you're kidding.
Nope.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that's actually where I wanted to start with you today. I wanted to
Okay.
start with
Yeah.
dogs. I love
let's
dogs.
start with
You love
dogs.
dogs. Let's talk about
Okay.
dogs.
Can you see down in my left-hand corner right here?
I saw your friend for a moment. Yes.
Yeah. So he's my lurcher, 2 years. We got him about 2 years from Ireland. Historically, growing up, I always had English sheepdogs. Then we switched over to golden retrievers. Then the past 25 years, we've been rescuing.
Yeah.
So we've had everything from a Louisiana Catahoula leopard dog, which is an exquisite, actually, it is a AKC breed. They're hunting dogs down in the South. And hundreds of years ago, when the Spaniards came over during one of the colonizations, they bred a bull mastiff. So you get that really wide shoulder.
Yeah.
With a, goodbye, love, with a Virginia red wolf. So
wow.
A Virginia red wolf. So, whatever, feral, live, whatever you want to call it, bred with a bull mastiff. So I found Mabel in a shelter. I saw her one day, and then I came back a week later. She was the last one left, and they had moved her over to a broom closet. And she grew up to look like a gray wolf with all black spots. And then she had the amber eyes, and she was just she's passed, but she was so exquisite. So this is actually the first breed I've had for probably since 25 years, because we've always taken in dogs, and the thought of paying money just didn't seem right. But I felt like I paid my dues, and I just wanted a really beautiful.
You wanted what you wanted.
You know what? I wanted what I wanted, and I've always loved Irish wolfhounds, those big, larger, majestic breeds. Yeah. And so lurchers sometimes have wolfhounds, but they were bred to poach. They're thieving dogs, where the you're supposed to call them travelers, but the Romanov gypsies bred a greyhound for speed, and then some type of terrier for sight. Yeah. And they would go on landed gentry and poach the rabbits, the livestock, and come back to the camps with their goods, basically. And so and this is like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And you'll see in any type of like old movie where there might be like your typical caravan with, I'll say gypsies. It is a derogatory, so I'll say travelers, actually. And you'll see a lurcher. You'll always see a lurcher in the background because they're just part of this extended family. So Henry with an eye is so interesting because you can't hear him walk. He floats. And I'll put something down and I'll turn around and it'll be gone. So he just has that thieving in him, which I just find whatever very interesting. So yes, you and I,
that is
yeah.
amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. We'll go into the woods and you can't hear him walk. And he's fast. I've clocked him at about 32 miles an hour.
Wow.
He's really fast. Yeah.
That is
So yes,
amazing.
yeah, you and I have in common because you have Rosie,
I
right?
do.
Yeah,
I do. Rosie was a rescue, and
right,
don't know what she is. She's just
right.
100% sweet and amazing,
Oh,
and
yeah,
she came into our lives
right.
exactly when we needed her. And it's funny because when you talk about dogs, my last dog prior to Rosie was
Right.
Allie, and
Oh,
she was 19 when she
oh,
passed, like
oh.
1920. She was nineteen
That's
twenty,
real.
somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing.
we had her forever. And it was a long time before we could get another dog again. It just couldn't
Oh,
do it. Just couldn't do it. Too long. Yeah. We had her for so long, and she was so sweet. She was part of the family.
right,
That's how,
right.
when you have pets, that's how they become. That's how they should become part of the family.
That's how, right. And it is heartbreaking. They take a piece of you when they go. They
100%.
do.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, they
absolutely.
take a piece
Do
of you.
you
Mm.
do you find yourself when you have clients with pets? Is that something like I remember talking to Bunny Williams, who too,
Right.
like us, just loves animals,
Loves.
dogs specifically. And
Right,
when it comes to the dogs, it's like the dogs are part of life and it's
right.
part of design. If a client has a dog, when do you design for pets?
Well, it's interesting. I think subconsciously I do because it's so much a part of my life. So it is always it's an obvious question, do you have pets? Which for me, if someone's crazy about their pet, it's this instant connection because all animal lovers just share that special bond of feeling unconditional love, really, just unconditional love. And sometimes there'll be a deeper connection with their pets. And like some pets, you really connect, I think, on a spiritual level. So what I always am asking, one, if you have pets, and then in terms of like, are they allowed on the sofas? Are they allowed on your bed? Or, tell me about how they're integrated into your life, because some people will keep them in a crate, which is perfectly fine. Everybody has different methodologies. I judge none. I personally have frette sheets, only one specific Tripolo line, which I absolutely love. And all my dogs sleep in there. And if they come in, they get it muddy, I just wash it. There's not a lot of, very few people do that. But what I do pay attention to is quality in anything that we choose, so that if you do have pets, whatever we're putting on as a fabric, it will hold up, whether it's a sofa, a club chair, or a bed. In terms of the question, do you design around it? We do have a client now that where in the pantry there is in the whole millwork package, there's a whole destination spot for two bowls for food, two bowls for water. Above it, different heights for leashes. You open up the cabinetry. We have, and it's also like when we do kitchens, when we design kitchens, whether we're working with a kitchen designer, an architect, we tend to outfit all the interiors, every single drawer. So, for instance, on a drawing, let's say there's an elevation of just a wall of cabinetry with a counter spot. We will show the drawer, open it, and then there'll be imagery showing exactly what's going in there, whether it's your everyday cutlery, whether it's silver, whether it's mixing bowls, whatever it is. So for this client, we did the same methodology where you open up the cabinets. We got the brand of dog food she likes. We had it shipped to the office. We made sure we understood what size quantity she gets, because some people get a 30, some people get a 50, some people get a 20. She gets these little, I don't know, can't remember, but maybe it's like a 15 ounce. So we would design a pullout where every packet that was, vacuum sealed had its own section with dividers so that when it comes in, it easily gets put away, highly organized. You can see all the flavors. You pull in, you pull out. So depending on the level of organization, detail that a client likes, responds to, we'll do it. And it just is a sort of riff on how we do our entire process of design.
Well, I feel too like we are in an absolute design renaissance.
In what way?
Well, in a number of ways, but specifically, listening to you talk. So I was at KBIS recently. So we're recording this in at the end of March 2024. I was at KBIS in Las Vegas looking at all of the kitchen appliances and everything.
Right.
And it's amazing to me, over the past, probably, I would say, year and a half to 2 years, and talking to some designers and talking to manufacturers, especially, like the folks at Monogram, and what they're doing in drawers and refrigeration. Now you've got a main kitchen, you've got a butler's pantry, you've got a scullery, you've got a working kitchen, you've got a dirty kitchen, you've got an outdoor kitchen. You've had this in the past, but now you've got coffee bars and wine bars and weed bars, and
snack
now
bars.
And snack bars for kids and for company. And now you've also got you've got the ability to pull out refrigeration and put that into a bathroom, a main bathroom space where you can put in makeup, you can put in cold water, you can put in cold compress, you can take warming drawers and put the warming drawers into the cabinetry in the bathroom as well. So you've got warming towels. You've also got the ability to take that same refrigeration drawer or a wine refrigerator for pet food.
Well, yes.
It's just amazing what you have the ability to do now.
Well, it is amazing. And when you said the refrigeration, we haven't done that often, but I just recalled we do have a client and her daughter, probably teenage daughter, had this sort of cleaning regime, cleaning products that required refrigeration. So we actually got her a little Smeg refrigerator in a cute little blue color for her bedroom to store the so yes, so that is I think that's very I think it's very interesting, and I'm curious to see what you think about that, because so what do you think about that highly specialized functionality and design, right? Highly specialized.
Well, I mean, you're turning the tables on me, but I'll just tell you.
I know. I don't want to sound negative. I want
to. Well, you reminded me of that when you were talking about that fresh pet food idea, and I think that adding in a refrigeration drawer so that, I mean, look, I've got a dog and I love her very much. And, in my refrigerator right now, because we haven't done the kitchen yet, but you've got the cans of dog food, which I don't always like to see, but, to have, and she's got specialized dog food. It's so silly, but yeah, she's got.
We do too. Farmer's dog. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because of that, it requires refrigeration, and to be able to have refrigeration by the kibble or dry as well.
Right.
But with this Ozempic revolution, where you have Ozempic now, you have so many people on these medications that were for diabetes originally, but for weight loss now, they need to be refrigerated. You've got makeup that needs to be refrigerated. So it doesn't make any sense to take your makeup or even your Cold Stone press and put it in the kitchen refrigerator when you can have one in the bathroom. It just adds to the lifestyle. And for me, to see what designers like you do with spaces like that is just incredible.
Well, that's nice of you to say, and I do think it's interesting because it's fascinating how a need is almost created by an industry, right? I mean, nobody needs any of this. But they're very smart. Very smart industrial designers, very smart marketing, very smart everything, and it's an industry that is creating this. and it goes to every industry, whether it's pharmaceutical. And it's interesting you say Ozempic because, well, one thing, like you, um, I have a kitchen that's not designed, that needs to be designed. So in my refrigerator, and in the winter, we're down in South Carolina, where I am now, not in Virginia, and we're down here for the horses. So we have horses to add to the whole mix of it all. But anyways, my refrigerator, which is only it's a terrible 69-inch French door, but like not even an 84-inch. I mean, it's so horrible, but well, I lack time like everybody. And then when I
Of
have to
course.
do something for myself, I literally have to research everything, not just in this country, but around the world before I make a decision. And I'm not that way with clients. With clients, it's like I can go in and like, bam, do it. So in my refrigerator, you pull out the freezer below. You have farmer's dog food, which are these big packets of raw food that are frozen. I have my daughter's stone roller for, skin.
Yeah.
I have pizzas. I have vegetables, everything. And my pile of mixed vegetables, just someone didn't tie it up. And it's now like all over this whole mess. So it's like chaos. And then my husband, well, I probably shouldn't say this, but he just went on Ozempic because he's always had AFib. He's had it since I've known him. He's had probably 3 operations where they try and correct it, and he's had cardio conversions, and he's done it. We're both at Mass General in Boston. So he has an incredible cardiac team. He started last year working with the nutritionist that's tied into cardiology, and he has done a incredible lifestyle change, understanding how to eat, what to eat. He's tried everything. He still wasn't losing the weight he needed to. And he works out. He's always been an athlete, but any extra amount of weight, when you have atrial fibrillation, it just makes it harder. Your heart is already going so fast, it just makes it harder. So he just started on Ozempic. So now I have Ozempic coming in a big box for refrigeration. And he also takes another injectable. So although it does sound, and that's a medical need. So then you have medical needs, and then you just have needs, actually desires, right? Like desires to have, whatever you feel as though is enhancing your lifestyle. And I get it because I love quality. I love beautiful things. I love all of that. So it's a very interesting place where we're at right now. I just find it very interesting, and I do find it challenging. I love interesting design questions. I love to, really think about how to do something, how to design something to fit something, to, make something work better, how people live and work in the space. I mean, I pay such intense attention to how people use space and what that functions for, what the program is, how they are, who they are. So for me, it just makes it, I am happy. I'm like a golden retriever. I'm happy to do whatever my client wants. I mean, seriously, so I went to school. I think I mentioned this when the director at Pratt started the program at UMass Amherst, and it was on my own dime, so it worked because I had in-state tuition. Dr. Arnold Freeman, he actually wrote, I think, one of the sort of like textbooks for interior design. If you Google him, he has since passed, but I was his TA for the full 3 years that I was there. It was just such an incredible experience. And so, I know what I was going to say. So what's interesting is that the whole team at UMass really sort of these modernist Bauhaus which was so interesting because where I grew up was my mother. So my father, who's passed, is Hungarian. So I'm half Hungarian. He escaped during the Hungarian Revolution in 1956 when the Russians came in. He was you could call him a freedom fighter. So they were on the list to be imprisoned, persecuted, whatever. So he and his father and older brother escaped one night, leaving his younger brother and mother behind, and came into New York, literally with $1 in his pocket. And the story is that they went to a local church where there was, charitable organizations to help him. He started out as a truck driver, and then he got a scholarship to Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida, which is, where like all the lily whites go to school. And so, I shouldn't say that, but it's just a beautiful, it's just a beautiful college. And so my mother, who grew up in Wellesley, Massachusetts, to a very wealthy, privileged family, was at school there. She had been in private school her entire life. Her mother was a monster, absolute monster, and shipped her off to private school, literally 3 miles down the road from her house in Wellesley, as a boarding school. And her dad passed when she was young. So my parents met. My father from a very different background from my mother. So I grew up in this kind of split world where my father, at the age of 16, was working in the coal mines in a small, agricultural village southeast of Budapest. And my mother grew up with chauffeurs, multiple residences around the country and in Monte Carlo. And so I had that upbringing of fine decoration, actually, inherited wealth, fine decoration, which is it's so fascinating, it's so interesting because it's just a piece of cultural history of everything from decorative arts to architecture to everything to lifestyle. And then my father, who then, once they met, created a very successful industry, creating machinery for plastics, which at the time was huge. It just blew up. So I've always had this very, very strong work ethic because my father, who's somewhat tyrannical, would be like, get up, work harder. Like I just have this work ethic that will never stop. And that is from my father. And also very entrepreneurial. Like at age 16, I've always worked, and young at age 16, I was making dog collars out of, I think, Lily Pulitzer fabric that was like sewed onto like just a thick cotton web, and then like with a little simple tie. And I go around the neighborhood. I grew up on the North Shore of Boston in an adorable little village called Annisquam. And I go around the neighborhood with my English sheepdogs with these Lily Pulitzer collars, and I sold them. And so I've always loved sales, absolutely loved sales. And so where I'm heading with this is that in terms of actually I've sort of gone off path. I'm not sure where I started, but I know what is it. So I was saying that I'm a golden retriever, in that my job is to, I think, elevate what someone is, what their life is, to elevate them, to bring them to places that they may be not aware of. And so when my team and I are on a team with architects, landscape builders, oftentimes someone will say, well, where's your point of inspiration, or how do you start the concept? The concept to me is like, what's the core idea? For me, it's when we're on a project, what's the core idea? It's like I have to answer that question because that answer will be the roadmap for every decision that will be made in the interiors. So when the thing that helps me look at what that concept might be is the style of the architecture. Is it old? Is it new? Is it on the water? Is it in Manhattan at Trump Towers? Is it in Miami? Is it in New Orleans? Like what is the style? Where it's located? So, the area. And then, is that your dog? Oh, good. I'm like,
yeah, no, that's mine, not yours.
Oh, perfect. That's why I told my dog to be quiet. And then the client, like who that client really is. I know they're designers, and I find it fascinating that have one look, one style. A little more, there might be a little variation in it, but like, one answer to the question, which is not how I do it. For me, it's an evolution of those three components. And there's a sort of an ebb and a flow of how one might drive the other. So that is the process that we always take with clients. And it's not for me to, I really like to understand what I call the baseline of where a client is at. Like, what is it that they're naturally attracted to? And that could be colors, it could be things they wear, it could be collections that they have, like, or interests or hobbies or whatever it is. Like, it's almost a collage. I want an understanding of the collage of that whole person, because there'll be a pattern there that I'll discover that then helps feed into what this concept is. And for me, it's very fascinating. And then that piece needs to merge in with the architectural intent. If it's a new construction, let's say it's on the Cape, we do quite a bit of work on the Cape. That typically, and Nantucket, if it's Nantucket, it's a very rigid, the historic society. So you really, you're working with a set number of windows and heights and all that. But let's say it's on Cape Cod. So what the architectural intent is it an open floor plan? Is it your typical shingle style? What the material, because that, for me, those two things plus the location starts to drive concept, and then roadmap, and then what are the materials we're selecting? Is it wide plank? Is it reclaimed? What is it? What selection is going to support that concept? Concept definition, like, Kate, I want to come here on the weekends from wherever I'm flying in from. I want it casual. I want to flop down on a super comfortable sofa. I want to put my feet up, and I want to relax, and I just want everything easy. So based on that sort of definition of how you want to experience that space, we then will develop the program. Okay, so if you want that, then, how big is your family? How many people are hanging out? Do you entertain? Is it just entertaining with small side tables, coffee table? Is it a sit down? So it's this process that actually has served me quite well, because whatever question comes up, whatever we're designing, I just follow this methodology. The players are different, the characters are different, the information is different, but we stick to that methodology. And I have no idea, Josh, how we got to this place.
You are listening to my conversation with interior designer Susanne Csongor. We will be right back. As a busy professional designer, you know how important it is to find the right partnerships. Partnerships that allow you to specify the right products for every project. Professionals like you don't just have time to sit around and waste, right? So let me tell you about one of my partnerships. Pacific Sales is here to serve you with expert, knowledgeable, and non-commissioned professionals to help you specify the right product for all your projects. Non-commissioned. That means their only incentive is your satisfaction. Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company, has just that, with over 60 years of service in Southern California. Pacific Sales is your destination for exploration, advice, and inspiration. and you will find all your favorite brands, like Monogram, and their commitment to providing exceptional products, starting with materials. Monogram sources commercial-grade stainless steel on their refrigerators, unscratchable sapphire glass on their cooktop knobs, durable marine-grade bearings on their dishwasher racks. Monogram takes inspiration from the leading-edge materials used in the high-end automotive and aeronautics industry to provide you with lasting beauty and exceptional quality. The beauty is backed by the same level of attention to performance, which is why Monogram appliances are trusted and sought after by chefs all over the country. Chain-driven French oven doors that can be opened with one hand, and an industry-exclusive hearth oven that allows for all-electric indoor brick oven-style cooking without the need for external ventilation. These are just a few of the things that make Monogram so special. Pacific Sales features Monogram appliances, and Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home team is here to help you and offer their Pro Rewards program, which is a trade program unlike any you have experienced before. And here's the cherry on top: access. Access to exclusive builder trade incentives from top brands like Monogram. Visit a Pacific Sales showroom today to learn how you can unlock additional savings and benefits. Don't miss out on the opportunity to work with the best of the best. Visit Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home today and elevate your projects to new heights. Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, where excellence meets expertise. Design Hardware's newly remodeled showroom is where you will find a gallery-style space with a thoughtful display of products, purposefully positioned to allow unbridled exploration and discovery. High-end faucets, luxury tile, natural stone, wood floors, and bespoke hardware selections are presented in a holistic manner, strategically arranged to stimulate creativity and transition your vision from the conceptual stage to a fully realized space. Conveniently located, free parking available. Stop by to find your inspiration, collect samples, get expert advice, and tackle everything on your shopping list all in one place. Visit them online at designhardware.com or in the real world, 6053 West 3rd Street in Los Angeles.
I'm talking about refrigerated
makeup. Listen, I will tell you something. One of the things that I absolutely love most about these conversations is to learn about process, because, it's really interesting. Designers, architects, both creatives, but both come from a different perspective. I feel like designers come more from an art perspective and architects come from more of a science perspective. Now, you can ask some on both sides and they'll say, no, I'm way more scientific. Architects will say, no, I'm way more artistic in my designs. And I totally get that. But, with architects and architecture, the process is always different because it has to be. With design and designers, the process is always different because it has to be. And I love that. And I love to hear about where these things come from. Your design development, which is part of your schematic design, which is part of your programming prior to that, which leads to, an installation, which leads to an end product. I mean, that's what I love so much about this. And I wanted to kind of dive deeper into this a little bit, because as we are in a place of immense change in design, we're also socially and societally in equally. And you've been in the game for a while. You've been doing this for 3.5 decades, right? So you've been doing this for a while. And right now, as we talk about this, I always feel like these conversations are in part time capsules, of what's going on and what's happening. There've been a couple of things on my mind, two in particular. One is, and I don't know if you heard about this. I'm not trying to out anybody. I'm not trying to create any controversy, but there was let's just say a celebrity project and a major design publication where the attribution and crediting of the firms that worked on this project were not labeled and credited properly, and it became a whole kerfuffle. And at the same time, and most recently this week, actually, I just learned about another celebrity project and a lawsuit over knocking off material. I kind of feel like we're in a place right now where knockoffs have always been part of the design business. stealing and
Oh,
idea theft has
yeah.
always been part of the art, architecture, design
Right.
business. But
Right.
you can steal somebody's look, you can steal somebody's design, but you
Right.
can't steal their intuition. You can't steal the
Oh my
machine.
God, you're so smart. You're
You know
so
what I
right.
mean?
And you're so,
You
oh, yeah. Well,
yeah.
no, tell me what you mean by that because I want to
Well,
see if, yeah.
I just mean you can't steal the machine that creates the ideas. You can steal the byproduct, but it's interesting, and it happens in every art form: music,
Hmm.
fine art, architecture, design, furniture making, all of it. And I'm just curious where you are in your career, how you think about that now, because what I have noticed is when new designers come into the business, they just want to get
Yeah.
clients. They just want to get clients. They just want to start doing business.
Right.
After a while, mid-level designers start thinking about how to elevate their game and establish their process. Someone like you,
Right.
Susanne, you're at the peak. You are a Hall of Fame inductee. You are at the pinnacle of your career, and you continue to rise because you've got your process. You've had your
Right.
clients, which begets new clients. So now you start to think about legacy, and you start to think about the meaning and purpose behind a beautiful, well-designed career. As you
Right.
do that, I'm putting myself in your position. Then you start to think
Hmm.
about legacy and attribution and credit, and you know it's very easy for other people to sort of steal your ideas and thieve your designs, like your dog, to come in the still of the night and to steal a rabbit here or a pelt there. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that?
Yeah.
How do you protect your ideas? Is it something that you consider now?
Well, that's a really interesting question. The way, so I feel like I'm in a bubble because um, I don't have the, yeah, we've been published nationally a few times. We are getting on Frederick, I think, next week. So, so my entry into that game, which I think is probably slightly higher stakes because so many more people are involved. There's magazines, there's social platforms, there's celebrities. That's a whole industry. I think I think the emotions get intensified, right? It just everything becomes intensified. And also with designers who have product lines. So I think possibly the stakes are higher, so the emotions become higher. I have I started out by when I started out, I had no clients. So I graduated from design school with a master's in a time where it was just like another economic, in the tank. Nobody would hire me in Boston because no one could hire and at the time have to pay benefits. Now, you know, you have um, all of these industries that they're independent contractors, so they don't have to pay benefits, which is a whole other area. But so I started out freelancing for the top firms. I'd go in, they need someone to draw, sketch, create something. So I'd go in and out. And then at one of the places, I met another woman roughly my age, and she had a client on the side. So we started a business. When we started, I was on my own, had no money. We had one client. So I taught because I taught all through graduate school as an assistant. And I love, and maybe that's where the methodology and process started because you have to have a teaching plan. Then you have to break it down to make sure that everybody who interprets things differently is actually understanding what you're saying. So I taught color theory at New England School of Art and Design in Boston, which at the time was on Newbury Street. And and then I also hosted at night for a restaurant that just opened, Olives with Todd English, who then became really, famous and has all those restaurants all over the place. So I came from a teaching perspective, which I think so as my firm grew, it has always been so important that um, there's a there's a teaching um, there's a teaching sort of atmosphere with everything I do, with everybody that works for me, because I know we all rise together and we all fall together. So this family that I've created, which I have, and I remember I worked on a project with Choprino Wharton and Alan. Alan, I think it's Alan Shope. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Anyways, he's probably the most interesting, funny person I've ever met in my life. And these guys are huge powerhouse architectural firm out of Connecticut. I've done a few jobs with them. He said, this firm has spawned, whatever, 20 offices. And, now I'm at the place where I've actually spawned probably 5 pretty successful design firms where former employees have opened up shop. And other than the initial, what a pain in the ass it is, right? Like, oh, how do I find someone to replace you in 2 weeks or whatever it is? I feel so proud that that they learned enough, that they felt they were ready to go and do it on their own. And so that's a legacy. That's a legacy to me. And that those designers, at any event, they come up to me and we're all, on wonderful, wonderful terms. And I feel that there's a sense of admiration. And that is meaningful to me, that they really respect what I've done and I've taught them something. So that is how I've always approached it, that teaching. Because what I know is, unless someone really understands, and I've always said this in my firm, I do not care if there's a mistake. What I want to understand is how it happened, the process of how it happened. Because to me, it's fascinating, because it's always, in any project, there's going to be a margin of a 5% error, 10 to 5% error. You just figure that's going to come off your net profit. But what's interesting to me is the sequence of those events that create those mistakes and problems. And I'm interested in it from, oh my God, because so many times it's like you just can't even imagine. It's the simplest things that will trip up whatever it is. So I find that fascinating. So I don't care about the mistake. If they continue to make it clearly they're not comfortable, they're not appropriate for my firm, because they're uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable. But I'm always in a teaching position of, do you understand why it's so important? Because when someone it's like an action, a reaction. They have to understand that nobody works in a bubble. There is this interconnectedness within the office that's now supported by internal platforms. I mean, my whole office is on Monday, which means, and this is fascinating, this is technology, which it means I have 5 people sitting in a big open office, and they're all communicating with each other on a platform called Monday. So Natalie, who's now principal of the firm, she went to FIT, and again, how fortunate, how lucky. She came into my life, I came into her life, and it is this, I'm blessed, because we just don't even have to talk. Like, she'll finish, she knows what I'm thinking, and everything gets elevated together. So she will be shooting off to everybody, where's the finished sample for this? We're still waiting for the roll finish, to every person in there, they're all getting back to her. But you're able now, through technology, be able to manage an intense amount of information internally. So that action reaction now gets supported with technology. But then the whole industry, when we're working with builders, they'll have builder trend that keeps the whole project organized for the client to, on Sunday morning, go in and see what decisions they have to make, that then's all interconnected with us. And then it goes down to, other vendors. So So not only for me is it a teaching, but that teaching piece is so critical that when I hire someone, I'm hiring them with a degree from a good school, really good school, great school, and other interests. Like I have one designer, Joe, who works remotely, and he has a photography degree as well as an interior design degree. So for me, I hire the best, the brightest, and the educated because that supports everything that we believe to be true and important in what we're doing. So the atmosphere is teaching to elevate everybody so that everybody grows. Because when people are happy, when they feel recognized, when they feel a sense of importance, a sense of community, a place to go, I think with COVID, so many things happen, but one of them is this fracturing of where do I go? Where do I get my coffee? Who am I saying hi to on a Monday morning? Where is that sharing and that bonding? And so that is so critical because the more I have that, the more what I want and my vision is created and aided and moving forward. And it is a collective effort. And then when someone is ready to go, then they go. So it is a little different for me than I think at the level that you might be referring to on the other projects. However, other than and the other thing, Josh, and I think you're so intuitive, is that someone can knock something off or rip something off or whatever it is. But they can never take that intuition. They can never there's something that is this other layer of composition, energy. There's a piece of me that I leave behind on every project, and it's indescribable at times. You can't, and that is the art of it. So that can never be knocked off, just like you said. And I never thought of it that way, but it is that there's this indescribable piece that gets left behind that's almost like your fingerprint. Think of all the people in the world and there's a different print for all those people. That's what it is. And you can't copy that fingerprint.
No, so you're exactly right. And by the way, I have been saying that literally for years. I mentioned that conversation that I had with Bunny Williams. And right. I kind of disagreed with her on something that she has said in the past, where she said that, she wants someone to be able to walk into a room and not know that she was the designer of that project. And, to some degree, I understand that. I get where she's coming from. And where that starts for me was when I started this show, 11 years ago. Right. I would ask designers that I would have on the show, I would say, so, and it's funny to admit this now, and I'll tell you why. I would say, so what's your favorite style? What's your favorite? And right. And I've said this a thousand times on the show, but it's not that it's a stupid question. It's just a pedestrian one, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you like or what you want, because if you're designing your own home, then yes. But if you're designing for a client, it's what they want. And that being said, you can design right. in any style. You can design something that is completely traditional or completely modern, Bauhaus, minimalist, maximalist. But at the right. end of the day, there is a fingerprint that is unique yeah. to your individual style and your approach that will be represented in every part of your work. That is what the really amazing designers do. The same way I think that a fine artist or a sculptor, you will see their work, and an architect, you will see their work. Like recently, I'm in Tulsa working on a design house project that's never going to end, I think. But I had a chance to go down to Bartlesville to see Frank Lloyd Wright's one and only skyscraper project. Now, it's interesting. You can look at this 20-story building in downtown Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Right.
You look at it, you're like, that is a Frank Lloyd Wright. You may never know that he had done a skyscraper, but you see it, you know exactly who made it. And it's different than any project he has ever done, but you can tell from the lines, from the feel, who did it.
Every time.
But I ask about it because I think more thought has to go into the idea of legacy and style and approach and all of the things that make designers unique. The reason why is because I've been working a lot for the last probably 18 months on AI. And here's what's interesting. So with artificial intelligence, which I think is a misnomer, and I've said this before too. I think it's accumulated intelligence. It's not artificial. There is no God chip that's creating new ideas. Everything that comes out of an AI algorithm is a byproduct, is a bit and piece of something else that's been done in the past. Right. So if you put into a prompt, you know, give me something that Susanne Csongor had and SLC Interiors had worked on in the past, it will give bits and pieces, or is there a signature style that you have? Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Oh, it's
how do you pronounce it?
Oh, okay. So the CS in Hungarian is pronounced, so it's Csongor.
Csongor. I'm sorry, yeah. I totally butchered that. Thank you.
My husband. So my name is Susanne. I have a nickname. He refers to me as Susanne. So my husband, I mean, he's an angel, but he's like so funny. So don't worry, my husband is.
No, but anyway, I'm so glad I asked. So, Csongor. So thank you for that.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So this idea of attribution and credit, I think it's important for designers to get credit for their work. Otherwise, you know, if there were no credit and you had a dozen people putting out work that looked exactly like a Picasso, right, then the Picasso would have no societal purpose after years or decades or eras, right? So yeah. I think it's important, and I think that something I had heard the other day, someone from the UK was talking about why Americans don't really understand relationships as it relates to travel in European cities, or rather it's flipped, why Europeans don't understand American travel. And the reason why is because America is not one country. We're really not. And we're not even a country made of individual states. You know, you look at Los Angeles. I'm a native Angelino. LA is not one city. LA is 45 distinct and different boroughs that are very, very different. The Valley is very different from the South Bay. You know, Chatsworth and Manhattan Beach could not be any more different in the way that downtown LA and Manhattan or downtown Boston are completely different. And I think that it's really interesting because a designer who works like you, who primarily works on the East Coast, you know, you're an international designer. You've worked nationally, internationally. So you recognize it's just the distinctions and the differences in relationship to geographical areas and the way that people think. And because we've become so tribal over the last 5 to 10 years, I find it so interesting. And I think it's special when designers like you have that fingerprint in their work, regardless of style, regardless of location. And I just think it's fascinating. I think it's amazing. And I think that's what makes design so special. And I don't want to see a day when artificial intelligence takes over the design process.
So I'm out of the loop on the artificial intelligence. Is there a trend or something in research and development that this is relevant that I'm missing?
Well, obviously. Yeah, it is. It is. And it's one of the things that I think many in the design community, you know, designers in large part have been worried about losing their jobs to artificial intelligence.
Really?
But yeah, absolutely. Well, here's why. Because you can put into a prompt, um, give me a living room in the style of Susanne Csongor that
Right.
is 1,200 square feet, akin to her Weston country estate, and make the color palettes this and that with this type of lamp and this type of lighting. Based on the prompts, you will get actual imagery of
Right.
what a design could look like. Then,
Okay. Now, yes, I understand now. That's like that, and that all started with Wayfair. Shop the look.
sure, absolutely.
Right.
And that's why, I have certain issues,
Oh, I see what you're
like
saying.
with a
Yeah.
with an AD, Architectural Digest in particular, who
Right.
they've kind of gotten away from the love of designers and focus on the love of celebrity design. And I think, I was watching a video of theirs the other day that was focused on a chef in Austin, Texas. And he says in the video, you'd think we used a designer. We didn't. My wife and I designed this. Well, that's great. That should be on E, or that should be in People, but I don't think it's relevant
I
for an Architectural Digest. You know what I mean?
Right, which is has been a Bible and a resource for design.
I
So
think they're better
whatever,
than that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's been iconic. So yeah, that's really selling out. Um, it's interesting you say that, because I am glad that I am where I am, because um, I don't feel I really don't feel hopeful for the future at all. I mean,
You don't?
that's dramatic. The things that I have seen change, um, a few things. Boston Design Center has shrunken 60%, so that there is so little product, good quality product on the floor. Um, so that's a resource we used to go to and be able to see product that is historically significant, such as, um, well, there used to be Zubair, there used to be Gracie, that you could go in and see some of the panels. Um, in New York it's there, but in Boston that's gone. So that's a whole, that's a whole world of decorative arts that a younger designer would never understand, that these are from, a 300-year-old factory that still exists, that still works with the original pear blocks, the original pigment formula, generational craftspeople that know how to do this. So that piece of history and information that's so critical has evaporated. That younger designer will now be online getting wall covering that is just been, rifted on some digitized, piece of whatever, William, whatever it is. There's just no foundation in the historical significance of when it was originally started. That's disturbing to me. That's really disturbing to me. And that just goes down the whole, really, it feels like the whole line of everything. Okay, so the AI, those are not our clients. I have been fortunate that I've always had the uber, elite. So these are the people that recognize quality, that will always recognize quality, that understand the value of it, the price of it, the everything of it. That's been a foundation. My first client for 20 years, and I did all their properties, really appreciated quality. And so I was working with, call it my medium, but I was working with, beautiful all silk velvets, Rubellis, Zubair wall coverings. When houses were built, it was of the finest quality, the finest craftsmen, reclaimed limestone from Paris ceramics. people would come in and, the owners of these companies would come in, Paris Ceramics, and they'd be like, okay, we're going to design a mantle. This mantle is being designed based on other historically existing, because part of their company goes out into the countryside. They have all their pickers, they have all their travelers all over the world, these manor homes, these country homes all over the world that, have fallen in disrepair because nobody can afford that. Nobody, so you're actually working with a mantle that was created 400 years ago. So that information, gets translated to the one that is being made for my project. But there's a whole historical significance and acumen behind that. So I've been so fortunate to have that, that experience. And we continue. So my clients are not the ones that are going to put in AI and come up with something that they could then shop at either Restoration Hardware or wherever it's Wayfair or whatever platforms are. But it's sad. But for some designers, that kills their business. I mean, that's a chunk, and that's sad to me, because those are talented, creative people that hopefully have a degree from somewhere, may not have the either business. I have an undergraduate in business and studio art. So a lot of creatives don't have that, or have not been in the fortunate world that I have been able to travel in, which keeps you in this other fortunate world. And trust me, I know it's fortunate because, of so many reasons. So they may not have that. So they may not be able to parlay into these echelons that don't get affected by change, by trends, by shifts in, whatever the economy. That's what, but for a huge part, this is significant. These, I mean, it's the stuff that comes out of China. It's just to be able to buy a bedside table for $200. What does it say?
Well, and that's the thing that I find so interesting, and I take a little more positive approach to that. I think because we keep talking about it, and because now, the case of the celebrity clients who have these designs that wind up in videos for AD and for other for other magazines and for other outlets. I think now people are starting to pay attention to copies and to things that are and a return to quality, and doing less business with China and more business in the US and in Europe, and where it makes sense to get back to quality. I believe that. And I think also, you're involved with the ICAA, and I think being involved with organizations like that makes us better. AIA, IIDA. I think it makes us better. I wish they were more forceful. I wish they took their membership to task a little bit more than they do, or at all for that matter. But hopefully that's
it will
part
continue
of the
Yeah. So you're right, Josh. That is so ridiculous to say I'm not hopeful. So I have courage to hope. It's really courage to hope. It has been. So delete that part.
No, I can't. Look,
courage. You can't.
No,
it doesn't matter.
No. I keep it in because it's real. It's absolutely real.
And I'll tell you why it's real. We can't find designers to hire. We can't find designers. So we have so much work. I don't need any more work, because I never wanted to be bigger than 10. I've always, for whatever. We cannot find, because the generation coming out, or the past 2 generations coming out of the colleges in New York, in Boston, they either are going right out on their own, right? Because they've been told through social media, you can, there is no governing body saying that you can't just take an image and be an influencer and that's really not your work. And what are your credentials to be an influencer? Do you know what I mean? So there's with technology, the bad part of it is that it has opened the gates to so much to go through that has no experience, no nothing, but are being constantly reinforced through likes, through everything or more, that there's this false sense of credibility. It's a false sense of credibility. So those young people coming out of schools don't want to work for another firm, and they certainly don't want to work. Most of them, there's a hesitancy to work for my firm because we're bulldogs. My team is the top educated technology. It's technology because part of my marketing plan always from day one is my work comes from architects. My work comes from architects, not a cocktail party with a client. Never, never, never. So my whole methodology, my whole process always had that in mind of being able to work with an architect, respect them, know that they are really the driver in everything, that I am there to respond to that, to dialogue to what they have created. And that role grows, grows, grows. I repeat with architects, and now it becomes, they look to me to help with define that interior concept, because we do have a wonderful way of getting information from clients about what they really respond to in terms of, interior millwork, feeling, atmosphere. And then we feed that to the architect, because most of the time we're working with the women, we're sitting around, we're talking about fashion, we're talking about whatever. And so whatever I can get, I give it to them. And they're like, oh, great. They like that. We send over, we have precedent images, images from our work. So I've always gotten work from architects and builders. Builders love us because we get them information. We have very incredibly detailed specification books for all plumbing fixtures, fittings. We draw up everything for tile and bathroom. So they love that we can get them that information so they can keep building. So I've positioned myself with those two components that just continually feed my business, but also continue to elevate us, because the more incredible architects we work with and builders, the greater our work becomes. What's fascinating to me is that after 3.5 decades, which I love the way you put that versus 35 years, it's just something about it. We're working in a downtown high-rise, high-end condos that actually our client, whose house we finished about 1.5 years ago in New Orleans, which we're going down this month to shoot, who's the American ambassador to Denmark. He's been over there for 3 years. And we've done a couple of his homes. So anyways, he's a developer. So he developed this project, a new client of ours. But I brought in the builder who I want to work with because he's old school. He's old school. And what I mean by that is he's got an 1/8 inch. He can look at our 16th or whatever it is, 3/16. He can look at something and see that it's off. And I'm the same way. And his subs are loyal and they're old school and they know how to build correctly. And his knowledge base is incredible. So we were talking the other day about the existing bathrooms, how we're changing them, and they're quite small. So, part of when you're working with sort of spatial constraints, it's like when you're dressing for yourself, you figure out what your best assets are and where you need to sort of, elevate something that may not be there. this bathroom is small, no interior windows. So part of to make it feel, for me at least, to make it feel more open, I just want one uh, surface on the floor that just continually runs into the shower. So we're talking about how we're going to do the pan for this, and what Kenny said um, is it's Ken Bona and Sons in Boston, incredible builder, and he has built. He was in business with his brother for a long time. There's been a recent transition, but they did like owner of Red Sox. They've done and I've done 2 projects with them, 3, 25, 30,000 square feet, huge, and that takes a very specific firm to be able to do that. So we're talking about this wet room, one pan, and then they start talking about, obviously it's a linear drain, and I'm like, well, guys, do you have a spec that you like to work with? And they're like, yes, we'll send it to you, but it's this linear drain that has a flange that goes up to the wall. So you can still set it off a half an inch if you want, or butt it up closer. But that way it's like impervious, whereas a lot of the linear drains, don't have that flange. So that is so interesting to me, because that is information from a builder who has done this over and over and over again, and it elevates what I'm trying to do, which is create a larger space by one material, whether it's like a mosaic, going all the way through to make it feel bigger. So that is working with great craftsmen, people that take pride in their work, that understand that everything of quality takes time. And that is what has to continue to be broadcasted over and over again, because that is what has been lost over these past, 5 years to a decade, because of, I think, well, I'm sure there are many factors, but one of them is social media. This instantaneous, this flip a room, flip a kitchen. How do you do? People get excited to do things on the cheap. Like it's a dopamine thrill to get excited. Those fixer uppers. Well, and I get it. Everybody has a budget, but you can still make choices. No, of course everyone has a budget, but make choices that are educated, in that if you put shit into construction or cabinetry or whatever it is, or if it's not done properly, you are ripping it out in 5 to 10 years, or it will have an action and a reaction. And that reaction is crap falls apart. So you're redoing it. So if you invested intelligently on, or have someone to help guide you through that, even though that's not my client base, all of these television shows, fixer uppers, there is a need for, I believe there's a responsibility to educate and let people know there are ways to do this that have foresight, that are thinking 10 years out, that aren't going to fall apart.
That's right.
Cheap plywood falls apart. Cheap cabinetry falls apart. So it doesn't matter if you're putting a, absolute black granite, which is your cheapest granite, on there. It doesn't matter, because those cabinets over time are going to fall apart. They will mildew, then they have black mold, and then becomes health issues. So there are, where I'm heading this. It's a rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole. Yeah, it's a rabbit hole.
And it's funny too, because we got to the rabbit hole as I don't want to keep you here all day. We have to do this again. We're gonna have to do. Sure. We could. We could.
I'll do. If we're doing it again.
No. I don't mean
makeup and hair.
No, I don't mean we're scrapping it and doing it again. I mean, this is part 1. We're gonna definitely have to have a part 2, because
we're definitely doing a part 2, because you're right. You're right, Josh, in that the courage to hope is how do we make a mark to keep that courage going, and you do it by your broadcasting, your Convo by design. I do the best I can. I always work on a sort of micro level. I work, with immediate people that I can help with, but there can be possibilities to broaden this message, right?
Totally agree. Absolutely.
That take the same amount of time I would put on a micro level, but to get it out there more, on a macro, because it is critical. I'm passionate about it. It's my life. I will do it until, I always say, until I can no longer flip a fabric rack. Well, fabric racks won't be there anymore. I mean,
that's possible.
Think about it.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely true.
So yes, I would love a part 2 with Josh.
Awesome. Susanne, thank you so much for doing this. This was so much fun.
You too. Yeah.
I love this.
And
thank you.
When I see you next, I wanna, here's Rosie.
Oh yeah, I will. Absolutely. Man, I love this. I have a new sponsor partner on the show that I want to introduce you to if you're not already familiar with them. If you are a specifying designer, architect, landscape architect, or savvy design enthusiast, if you have heard about the quiet luxury movement, this idea of crafting a lifestyle around understated elegance, simplicity, and sophistication, there's more to it than that. And I will add uncomplicated living. Isn't that what we all strive for? I am extremely happy. I'm really thrilled to share a company that embodies all of this, utilizing proprietary technology and a focus on sustainability in their stunningly beautiful products. It's TimberTech. TimberTech is the premium decking company delivering multi-tonal, color blending, and natural wood textures in a product that is virtually indistinguishable from a natural wood product. What does this mean? It means it's everything wood should be. A beautiful look that blends seamlessly with a well-designed space, providing years of enjoyment and performs the way you want it to. No splintering, fading, peeling, cracking, or rotting. I had a wood deck at our Manhattan Beach home, and I gotta tell you, it was exasperating every year doing the random board flip, taking out nails, resetting them, restaining them. It was a complete pain. It was complicated, and I didn't look forward to it. I wish I had TimberTech, because TimberTech is not only uncomplicated, it's beautiful. It comes in over 20 finish options and 9 collections, and 85% of the material is recycled. This is premium decking for your next project. Learn more and specify it for your next design project. TimberTech on the socials or timbertech.com, where you can find a retailer near you, as well as a number of tools to create, design, order samples, and get the expert help you may need. TimberTech is uncomplicated luxury and performs. It's your choice for your next deck project. Thank you, Susanne, for a wonderful chat. Thank you to my partner sponsors, Thermosol, TimberTech, Pacific Sales, Design Hardware, and Monogram, for your constant and consistent support of both Convo by Design and the industry as a whole. It means a lot, and it's special, and I'm appreciative. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to listen to the show. This thing of ours, it's amazing. 11 years strong, and I could not do this without you. Wouldn't want to. Please keep those emails coming. convobydesign@outlook.com. Reach out via Instagram as well, Convo by Design with an X. Tell me if there is a designer you would like to learn more about, or one that you know that you think I should learn more about, and we'll see if we can make that happen. Thanks again for listening, downloading, and subscribing to Convo by Design. By the way, if you have a friend who maybe never heard the show and is in the industry, or just a design enthusiast and you think they'd like it, please share. Thanks for that. Until next episode, be well and take today first.